Commissioner Wance.
So I'd like everyone to take a moment, please, and Doug, I'm going to have you interject here as well. I want to just have everyone keep in your thoughts and prayers. City of Tawnytown. I attended the funeral yesterday of Tawnytown City Manager Henry Hine, and I want to keep his wife Lynn and their family in your thoughts and prayers this morning. And Commissioner Howard.
Yeah, I also would like to keep in our memories Ken Russell. Ken was 23 years Baltimore City police officer. When he retired, he became the chief of police in Hampstead for about 14, 15 years. And after having all that fun, he went on to be a driver for CATS for about another 15 years and lived just an extraordinary life of service. He passed away last year, and his funeral was this morning, so I'd like you to keep him and his wife Charlotte in our memory as well.
So with that in mind, with those two folks and of course everyone else, I'd ask that we pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll open up for Positively Carol. If anybody has anything for Positively Carol.
Sun's out. It's going to be 70 today. Is that good? Everybody positive about that?
Yep.
Got
Good, bad, or otherwise, good, bad, or otherwise, the election will be over next Tuesday.
Yeah, so there's that.
So that's
yeah. Apparently, there's an election going on.
That's a positive.
I know that we have the ceremony tomorrow evening to say farewell to Lynn Wheeler, who's been instrumental in Carroll, and I would say she's one of the best, if not the best, library director.
Oh, by far, yeah.
Up and down the East Coast, probably this side of the Mississippi. And if I get a chance to get on the other side, I'll check it out over there too. But certainly,
the time I was in Alaska, they were pretty. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But I know that we have that tomorrow evening, so I think that's certainly want to say thank you to her.
Yep. Extraordinary lady.
Yep, absolutely. Other than that, I don't really have. I mean,
good. We're ready to roll.
I have something I do want to mention. We have a letter of congratulations from Calvert County Board of Commissioners congratulating us on getting our AAA bond rating. I thought it was very, very nice of them to send it to us, and I really do appreciate that. So I just wanted to bring that up in the Positively Carol. And I've gone to a lot of Eagle Scout Court of Honors, and they're all outstanding young men. But I actually got a handwritten thank you from one of them for attending, from Brandon Burdett, and I really appreciate him sending that. So I just want to bring that out there as well. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, good job.
Absolutely.
A lot of them sent out thank you letters. They were really outstanding group.
Yeah.
I actually have one.
Handwritten one now. It's the
Yeah.
first handwritten one I've
A
got.
lot of them sent it.
Yeah.
How weird, be quiet.
I got one on Saturday in Lineborough. So.
All right. They're a standing group of young men.
Yep.
Anything? Nope. Okay. Move on with our first item, solid waste planning update. Jeff Castaway, Dusty Hilbert, Don West, Bruce Hosting. And we all have 4 chairs, so it should be good.
Thank you.
I heard the new board's considering a 5th chair. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's going to be exciting to see.
We're going to design a new table and everything.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Scott Moser, Deputy Director of Public Works. We're here for the Solid Waste Advisory Committee update. You all know it as SWAC if you read all of the emails that go around. To my right is Dusty Hilbert. He's the Bureau Chief for now. Sad note, he'll be leaving us in about a week. I want to thank him. He's been tremendous with us on the solid waste. He brought standards to us and how to make things work that we had no idea how to do it. So he is going off to better, I shouldn't say better, to different pastures, and
Yeah.
we wish him well.
Yeah, they're not better.
Dusty, you've done an extraordinary job. We appreciate it. And we understand as part of the deal that we've negotiated is we now can ship solid waste to wherever you're going to be. Is that correct? I thought that was part of the deal. Didn't you tell me that was part of the deal, Moshe?
That's just for the first 6 months.
That's right.
I missed that.
Did you? Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll talk about it later.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a good group of people here at the county to work with, work for. It's a great group of people. It was a hard decision. I appreciate it.
You just couldn't think about being here without Commissioner Rothschild and I being here. I get it. There's a lot of that going around right now. It's a lot of angst. I get it. I understand.
It's all yours.
You don't have to respond.
I'll pass. I like you all equally well. Equally well.
Very nicely done.
And I apologize for reading here, but some of this I haven't memorized in all these years here. The Bureau must effectively implement an integrated system of solid waste management and recycling that allows for flexibility as the markets change, as regulations change, as technology changes. And the Solid Waste Advisory Council, we call SWAC, they advise the Bureau on matters relating to administration, operation, capital projects, and budgeting. SWAC provides an open forum for users of the system. So all the members of SWAC, it's a diverse group from throughout the county, and it's a good group of people who care about the county and care about how we move forward with how we handle our waste. Early on, and I'll progress through the years, the past 4 years of the group. Early on, they declared a mission statement, and I'll read that. In the best interests of the citizens of Carroll County and the environment, they want to provide assistance to county staff to advance the sustainable, responsible, and cost-effective practices of solid waste management and recycling. So in 2014, they started off with a few set goals: waste diversion, recycling, and financial considerations. They began with inviting speakers, different industry leaders, to the meetings to hear what they had to say and to develop a game plan to move forward with. In 2015, Chaz Miller, who was a lead in the National Waste and Recycling Association, gave us a good groundwork to move forward on. The infamous KCI study, which indicated that the county was on track with everything we were doing, and it gave us some suggestions, and a lot of those recommendations were things that SWAC was already discussing and moving forward with. Some of the goals from 2015, sending correspondence to the governor. There had been a moratorium on landfill expansions by the previous governor, and as a result of our sending a letter and other counties doing the same, the new Governor Hogan lifted that moratorium. We also wanted to improve composting, and as a result of that, we have a private partnership with a business here in the county, and we've improved the services, and we've been saving money on our yard waste and composting materials. The Resource Recovery Park was another goal, and we've expanded the items that we collect there, and we're continually looking at other ways to expand that facility, and there's some other long-term ideas in the works on how to better implement that part of the facility. Waste diversion from the beginning has been the main goal. If the county doesn't need to handle the material, either as a waste or recyclable, to find something else to use that for, that's a high priority. As a result of that discussion, we were looking at metered waste or pay-as-you-throw, which we'll get into here later on as it developed through the years here. 2016, there was a long list of topics that SWAC proposed: hauler districts, exploring existing waste-to-energy facilities or other existing technology besides using the landfill, to research other ways to add value to our recyclables, to encourage municipalities to use a metered waste program, pay-as-you-throw, moving toward additional composting with food waste, which, on a side note, Maryland has developed new regulations. There's a study group where we have some potential here within the next couple of years that we could eliminate a major part of the waste stream, which is food waste. I shouldn't say eliminate, but find an alternate use. Increasing revenue, another way to balance the budget, and system benefit charge, increasing the existing fees, implementing a new fee for recycling. As a result of that discussion in 2016, we did raise our fees, and we did look deeper into the concept of metered waste or pay-as-you-throw. And from there into 2017, with discussions with the commissioners, we developed a pilot program, which we are implementing, and that starts next week. So again, to say all this is that SWAC has been an integral part in moving forward with incremental steps, incremental ideas, even some of these ideas that as a group with staff and the board don't want to go down these certain roads with hauler districts, things of that nature. Without vetting these different individual ideas, we wouldn't have progressed to where we are today. With that, I'm going to pass it off to these gentlemen from SWAC, and they can give their input as to where we've been and where we're going.
So a quick comment.
Yes.
But two comments. Number one, none of you should feel like you need to apologize because you don't perceive that there's been breakthroughs. It's been a market that's in flux. And unless you had a crystal ball, could see the future, none of us really knew what to do. That's my first comment. So I think you did the best you could under conditions of uncertainty. The second thing that I want to point out is that I don't want to overlook here is that some of the greatest accomplishments are what you didn't allow to happen. And specifically, I'm referring to the incinerator. Because now that we have the benefit of 20/20 hindsight, we know that the concerns that Commissioner Howard and I had about the assumptions, and that you all had too, we were proven correct, and the experts were all proven wrong. And had we gone forward with the incinerator with the assumptions that were set forth to justify it, we would be bleeding red ink like we've never bled before. We'd probably be losing $30 million a year on that incinerator right now. So thank God that we had the support of all of you, especially Bruce and Don, in helping us put the numbers together to stop that, because we were right and the experts that wanted it were wrong.
Well, and I may have to duck out for a funeral, but I do want to say before you guys get started, I mean, first of all, it's hard to believe it's been 8 years that we've been talking about this stuff. You know, the earliest inception of this thing was a little bit of a different format, but at the end of the day, I remember the earliest conversations being about how do we take folks, some of which who had very diverse perspectives on lots of things, and really frame this in a way that we could look for ideas and solutions that were real, that were scalable, that were usable, and I think we really honed down to some things that were really very usable. And I think Commissioner Rothschild's right, and the guidance along the way, the ideas, the incremental steps that we've taken have been extraordinary. Integration with staff being willing to take that and do something with it has also been very helpful. But I think at the end of the day, it also, I always refer to this group as a model for being able to take a particular task, stay focused on it, generate ideas, put some other things aside, and really bring out tangible things. And I think it'll stand as a model for a long time to come. In terms of the things you've done. So I appreciate that very much, and I'll let you say what you came to say.
Okay. I'm a numbers guy, okay? And so I just want to talk a little bit about numbers. When I got involved with this 8 years ago, or whatever, we were looking at that $2.5 million transfer from the general fund to the revolving fund, enterprise fund for solid waste, and we're trying to find a way to get rid of it or get it down. Well, at that time, the county received $15 per ton revenue for single stream recycling. Well, the market has changed. Now we pay $50 a ton to get rid of it. So when 8 years ago, it made a lot of sense. You brought the recycle in for free, no charge, you made $15, that was great. So if we could increase the recycling, you could get more money. Well, that's not the case today because of the change in market. There's no way that I can see that there's any way you can get rid of this $2.5 million, which is actually going to be over 3, maybe heading towards 4, without increasing the revenue some other way. We looked at 4 different options in our group. We discussed them. We looked at raising a tip fee, or just raising your trash tip fee. But the downside of that is the trash goes away and you lose money. Even though you think you're going to get more, you don't. We looked at setting up, why don't we set a tip fee on recycle? Problem with that, the haulers are going to take it where there is no tip fee on a recycle, and then that hurts our ability to go and meet the state requirement of how much recycle we have to have. Pay-as-you-throw trash bags, that's in the works right now. That could generate some revenue, especially if it was run by the county, but I want to throw out a caveat on that. The municipalities don't have to work with the county on this. They are now, or the one is on the pilot. But something to keep in the back of our minds is, suppose this thing really works, and I'm just going to make up a number here, that you have a 20% reduction in trash from New Windsor with a corresponding 20% increase in recycle. So you're going to lose your tip fee on the trash, and you're going to incur a cost on the recycle, which we didn't have before, but we do now. If that's successful, and the cities go, or the municipalities go, hey, this is really good. I can make money if I just sell the trash bags myself. What could happen is, if you're in sort of a catch-22, you're going to be a victim of your own success, maybe. If this works and the municipalities say, we want to do it ourselves, they could. So I think the approach that Dusty and Jeff and the staff took with New Windsor is very beneficial, because they rolled all their costs into the price of the bag. So I don't know how that's going to work out, and I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying what could happen is things that we just have to be aware of. We'll have more numbers and more data when you get through this process. We'll know more, and we'll be able to come back with more specific information. And the last item we talked about was a system benefit charge. A system benefit charge would go on the county tax bill. It's done in other counties. All our surrounding counties do it. They use it to supplement their solid waste model or finances. If we did that here in Carroll, I'm not advocating a tax increase. I'm just saying these are the options that we discussed. But at $12 to $15 per household per year will take care of all this excess cost that's being incurred by the county to dispose of recycle. And the other option is you don't have to do anything, because you're paying the recycle cost out of the general fund. So it's still being collected from tax revenue. There is no way that your enterprise fund for solid waste can ever break even under the current market conditions without some form of additional revenue source, one of those other options. We've looked at them all. The one that seemed to be the least detrimental to the most people is a system benefit charge. The pay-as-you-throw trash bags might work, and if it goes county-wide, there can be an additional revenue stream to the county from the sale of those bags, depending on how you set those prices, that could offset the cost of the disposal cost for the recycle. So that's my 2 cents for today.
I ask you a question. Talking about recycling, if we put a tipping fee on recycling brought into the county, you said then we wouldn't get our
Well, there's a mandated goal from the state.
Right, but because, is that because when we take it into the center, that's when it's weighed and so forth? Because if there was a way to determine how much it was on the truck that's coming from Carroll County, and we put a tipping fee at our landfill and they took it somewhere else, what difference would it make? As long as we knew that 30 tons or whatever it is came from Carroll County, although they took it somewhere else.
I think they would just take it to another place.
Well, Rusty's going to answer the question. Question is, where do they do the tabulation?
Yeah.
That's where it would be difficult if they take it to a different county's facility or a private facility. Would they declare it as Carroll County material that we would get credit for? That's something we would have to work out.
Yeah. Okay.
There's one way we could possibly break even, though, Bruce, and I know it's not on any of us likes, but if we expanded the landfill, we might break even, because we could bury everything then, and would save the $56 a ton that we're paying Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but the downside of that is you're going to have to build another landfill,
I agree.
which is going to be a lot more costly.
And for how long can you sustain that?
No.
And
Yeah,
then we
you can't.
That might be another
More-
30.
You'd have to dig up your transfer station to get to.
Another 30 years until they invent the Mr. Fusion and we burn it in our cars.
What would be the lifespan of the landfill if we dumped everything there?
If we took all of it into northern,
10,
you're
15
in the
years.
neighborhood of 20 years if we did that.
It's not long.
No, it's not.
No.
And then you got to do another one.
And with the land situation the way it is, it becomes increasingly more difficult. You know, it's darn near impossible right now to site a landfill. 20 years from now, you can imagine what that's going to be like.
But if we expanded it now, we probably have, what, 50 years?
I'm sorry.
If we expanded it now, we probably could buy ourselves, what, 50 years, even if we
Did-
buried everything?
Depending on the size of the expansion, you could get over 50 years.
But as Bruce pointed out, the capital cost to set it up might very well wipe out the operational
Well,
savings.
and we know
so-
the ongoing, the post-closing costs and all those things
Right.
become
Right, but it is an option that could be looked at by the next board.
There's no really great option. Because you need more money somehow, and the cost keeps going up, so.
Let me say that, you know, that little synopsis that Bruce just gave was very good. It was concise, and I hope it's on record, you know, as far as what the possibilities are, because we've talked about this for over 4 years. What could be done? It's been stated way back since the advisory that you started, that Commissioner Howard, that, you know, to try to balance out that enterprise fund. And Bruce's couple points are really the only ways. And Commissioner Rothschild's is a possibility, but when you factor in the cost of a new landfill, acquiring that land, I don't know whether that really does anything to increase the bottom line. But what I wanted to say, first of all, I wanted to echo what Scott said. Worked with Dusty for the last 4 years as chair of the Solid Waste Advisory Council, and he has just been the best guy to work with. He was a real asset to our council, to staff, and I hope to you also. Just thank you. It was a pleasure, and we're sorry to see you go. I also appreciated his part of the presentation. It was definitely a glass half full kind of thing, which was good. It was good for me to hear, because I am a little pessimistic as far as the progress that we've been able to accomplish. Again, introspectively looking at what I've been able to do as chair and working, you know, with my fellow members of the council. You know, I have a list, and Dusty went through it, of 20 or so odd recommendations, long range, short range, that we've come up with, discussed over the years, 4 years in this current iteration, and some of it's been done, most of it hasn't, for various reasons. So I tend to look at myself and my leadership and the group as, you know, why hasn't that occurred? You know, were the ideas not good? Was it presentation? You know, I don't know. There are some things that are underway, that is to be sure, and that's a good thing. SWAC meets again in December, and at that time we'll elect new officers. Perhaps there'll be a change in direction, you know, with a new chairperson, vice chair, etc. You know, maybe some new ideas will come out. Probably for me, the most disappointing thing at this time, again, not to be pessimistic, to try to balance Dusty's optimism, is that enterprise fund, okay? The fact, the scenarios that Bruce outlined, it's on the way up, you know, that deficit, that red ink. It's not going down. And as Commissioner Rothschild said, much of that can be credited, blamed on the change in the markets and recycling. We're now paying to process that. That's been the case now for a couple years, 2 years at least. And the fact that we're having difficulty trying to come up with a way to deal with that, I think that is an issue. And we all hear that government should be run like a business. You know, that's a common mantra that we hear. And I'm a businessman, and in my business, it's not unusual for there to be fluctuations in the cost of diesel fuel, okay? And when that happens, there is almost an immediate, when the price goes up, you know, it never goes back down. But when it goes up, there are surcharges. My suppliers almost immediately tack on surcharges to bills because of the increased cost in delivering those materials. And therefore, I think it is, you know, incumbent on us to be more responsive to the markets and incorporate changes in billing, charges, fees, whatever you want to call it, to reflect that to the customer, i.e. the taxpayer. And I guess that's where, you know, when Bruce mentions a system benefit charge, that is essentially what that does. So that's really all I had to say. Again, I thank the commissioners, because I know, you know, some of you guys aren't going to be commissioners in a week or so. I appreciate working with all of you. One month.
Don't throw them out too soon.
The election is.
They'll be celebrating Democrats, and they'll be crying Republicans.
I don't know. I cry most of the time. But no. The point being, you know, that our relationship as board and SWAC is going to change, you know, in the next couple months. And I've appreciated working with you all. I appreciate your insights. And I certainly appreciate, again, working with staff and the Solid Waste Advisory Council. Thank you.
So I want to say one thing to you, and it's a repeat of what I said, but it's very important because the people of Carroll County need to know that one of the reasons we escaped a bullet was because of the work done by both Don and Bruce on the matter of the incinerator. Because I can tell you all, without the information that we were armed up with from the two of you, I don't know that we could have stopped it. And that probably saved every taxpayer about $300, $400 a year in taxes for the rest of their lives. Right. And I'm going to give credit to these two gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. Bruce deserves it. He ran the numbers, and the numbers are what did the deal in. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
The numbers, that's right. The numbers did the deal in. Yep.
But he did, when he was speaking, I forgot, he reminded me of something that happened 3 years ago. You brought in, Commissioner Weaver brought in Jim Heineman, founder of Jiffy Lube, and he did a report. And the future for solid waste is in his report, zero waste. That's a buzzword, but that's where it's going to go because of the cost of everything else. You have to recycle and reuse as much of this stuff as you can. He has a very good report laid out, very good report. And even though we didn't do much with it, we looked at it, we read it, we talked about it, but we didn't really come forward with any recommendations. I just have a feeling that in the not too distant future, we got to go back to that report and start looking at some of the issues that he put in there.
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, in the last 4 years, especially the last 3, you guys have moved ahead tremendously from where we were. I mean, I felt coming in here, we were kind of stagnant. We hadn't moved. The incinerator got in the way. And you got a good group, and all of a sudden, we're doing a pilot program. Where it turns out, I don't know. But I did have the opportunity the other day to talk to some New Windsor residents. They've already figured out, man, I can make quite a few dollars a month. All I got to do is recycle. I don't have to, if I use just a small bag a week, I'm going to save quite a bit of money. So, and these are not, millennials, by the way. This is older group is always looking at it. Well, if I start the recycling and really take it seriously, I can make money out of this. So they're already looking at it, and I think you're going to see the pilot is going to be successful. Now, the economics are not there to support it right now, but the fact is we will have a model. We have documentation to start looking at things. And if we keep looking at every aspect of this waste, I think we're going to move ahead in the right direction. Without Dusty, I'm sorry to say, but at least we're going to be continued to move in that direction. I think we've started. We've got a long way to go, but we've started moving in the right direction down to zero waste. And Charlie, thank you for showing up today to support the council there. I appreciate the time you put in. But
Dusty, I didn't give you permission to leave.
Actually,
Request permission.
so thank you guys for what you've done. I know we got a long way to go, but at least we've started. And we're starting in that direction. And Don, I know you and Bruce put a lot into this to get there, but that's got to continue.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to say thank you for all the work that you've done. I think we have made some progress. I know how slow it is, but government, since I've been here, moves so slow, it's unbelievable sometimes. But we have moved forward, and we've looked at a lot of different things, which is extremely important. I'm delighted with the fact that we have this pilot program going and it's moving forward, and people are already looking at it. But I'm hoping that one of the main things that happens as a result of the pilot program is reduction in the amount of stuff that's put into the stream, and also the amount of stuff that's recycled, because now people are going to be more conscious of what they're buying and how it's packaged and stuff like that. It's another benefit of this pilot program, I'm hoping, so we won't have as much to deal with. And I'm also hoping that we get more recycling, because from what I'm reading now, recycling is starting to pick up a little bit more, because the market in, was it China or Asia, has cut down. Other people are looking at ways that they can use this now, and it's starting to pick up a little bit. I don't know if it's going to pick up to what it was before, but it's getting better. So I appreciate everything that has been done. I thank you for what how you moved us forward. And I really do thank for looking at all the little different things that we need to look at. We have to look at all this stuff to weed out what we don't want, and then put something that we do want forward. So I very, very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mister, you got anything?
What they said. This is the ditto. This is the perfect example of people coming together in a civil and credible manner to help government at work. You all are the perfect example of that. I'll sum it up by saying that, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Are we
thank you.
civil? Are we civil? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Now we move on to a bid approval for Miller Station Road culvert repairs. Jim Cook and Sidney Miller, is that right?
I don't think so.
I don't see, okay.
Got one of them.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners.
Okay. First item is Miller Station, and we went out to bid on this project. We only received 2 bids. It's on a very tight time turnaround schedule, so we didn't get a lot of bids for that reason, but I am recommending award to Triangle Contracting in the amount of $241,820.
Any questions? Or we
Yeah,
just
I
need a
mean,
motion then?
they came in. It's a shame CJ didn't come in a little bit lower than that, but it is what it is. So,
All right. Do we just need a motion to move this forward?
This is obviously something that's,
This was another outcome of our July rainstorms.
That's what I thought.
We
Okay.
currently have, it's plated 3 times over with steel plates. We monitor it daily and weekly to make sure those aren't shifting. And it is a large buried structure. So that 72-inch pipe that you read in your brief is very deep, and that is what concerns us. And we're really not geared internally to be able to handle that depth.
that's a big pipe, 72-inch diameter.
It's almost like 6 feet or something.
It's close. It's about, that's as tall as me.
That's funny.
Was there giggling?
That's good. I think on that you should make the motion.
All right, I'll make the motion that we award the contract for Miller Station Road culvert repairs to Triangle Contracting in the amount of $241,820.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
We've used Triangle before, right? Have we?
Actually, I believe we have maybe once,
Okay.
but they've been vetted through our engineering department. They've been pre-qualified.
Okay.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Now, a bid approval, purchase of 2 Kohler generators, automatic transfer switches. Doug Lindsay? No? Jeff will come up, all right. And I guess Cindy's going to stay up here with us. Okay.
Do you lead on this?
What?
Do you lead on this one, or do I lead?
It doesn't matter. Commissioners, I'm recommending award to Sourcewell, which is formerly NJPA, Kohler generators and automatic switches in the amount of $75,200.72. These are replacement generators, and they're for the Carroll Community College.
Right. Both generators are over 20 years old. One of them's for their IT facility. And the other one is? A building.
So
Thank you.
you guys are gonna hate me when I ask this question, but I gotta ask it. They just put 5 acres of solar at their site. So why do we need backup generators? That's a facetious question. We just put 5 acres of solar, so why do we need backup generators? Tell us what, tell the public.
There's only 4 acres, that's why.
4 acres of solar.
Right, yeah, if it was 4.5 would be fine.
4 acres of solar, and now we want 2 backup. To tell the public why. I want the
No,
public to
the
know, and I mean that as a serious
No,
question.
all the solar projects that we've undertaken between the three locations that we have, that goes back into the grid, and then we buy it back at we buy the power back at a lower rate.
But it goes-
It is not Carroll County's solar panels. It is done by a third party because we cannot, as a county, get the grants that are available to put up the solar panels. So the third party sits back. They pay for the entire cost for the construction, installation, maintenance of that for a 20 to 30 year period. Sell it back to that gets sold to the grid. We buy that power back at a lower rate.
But the fact of the matter is, the reason we do it that way is because there is no way to store it. There's no way to store it. And even if you had 100 acres, what happens if you need that backup power when the sun isn't shining? So I just want to make clear, it's not dependable at this point in time, and it can't be stored. Not yet. Yet. Temporary. Yet. But not today.
I'll let that go, but, okay.
So what did you say, they're both 20 years old?
Both over 20 years old.
How many hours are on the
Yeah,
generators?
that's what,
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you know how many hours are on the generators though?
1,500 on one of them. And
1,700
on the other, almost 18.
So why are we
Almost
replacing
1,800.
generators that have such low, they have a life expectancy of 8,000 to 10,000 hours? Why are we replacing generators with only 1,700 hours? Diesel engines, I mean, I got a tractor, it's 24 years old. I mean,
It's not always the diesel engines, the components that are within the unit. You know, when you get to that age, we sit back, the electronics to them. And Doug, I'll have you comment a little further because he's in with the maintenance of the facility, of the generators.
Yes, the 2 generators over at the college, one of them is from the old jail, when you had the jail over here, that was moved over there. They're both having problems now. One's starting to turn a little bit of oil out, coming out, and the other one's starting to come up with a knocking noise. So, and when you look at the hours on the generators, it doesn't seem a lot, but it's almost like running something 60 hours per hour. Each hour on the generator is equal to 60 hours on an engine that you're running it constantly. That's the wear rate. So when you start talking 1,700 hours, times that by 60, it's quite a bit of hours on the.
Sounds like if you put both the problems of both generators together, you've got my car. But go ahead.
And with the college over there, with the buildings that they take care of, the labs and stuff, it's very imperative to keep the county schools open, the college.
So what's gonna happen with the used generators? Because they certainly have what's gonna happen with the used generators?
The used ones?
The existing ones?
Actually, put them up for auction, see if someone wants to buy them.
We'll go in public surplus.
Yeah.
and people buy them for parts and components that
Yes.
if they have that same year of generator, they'll take certain components out of it and put that in stock or rebuild some of the components to put back in stock because some things may not be available because of the age being in excess of 20 years old.
Has any cost estimate been prepared as to what it would cost to repair the 2 generators?
We did a cost analysis on it. By the time you put the funds into it, you still have a 20-year-old generator.
How much were the funds to repair the 2
Roughly about
generators?
10 grand a piece, at least. And then you still got something, you got downtime, plus you still got something 20 years old. Something else might go wrong with them that you can't see forward now. If you get a crank that goes, if you get scores on the bearings and stuff. Unless you completely rebuild them, it's actually less expensive to buy 2 new generators. At least you got something that's guaranteed to work.
So the generators and switches are only $37,000 a piece?
Mhm.
Okay,
So,
okay.
And then we also gain the fact that we are, the latest technology with exhaust emissions and meeting all the EPA standards. And sound
But that
deadening.
makes them less reliable, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay? Just want to be clear, the new EPA, the weak link on all these new diesel generators is the emission system. That's what's failing on them and taking them down. And it may end up being less reliable than the old ones before it's all over with.
Are these new ones emission
yes, they're
control?
standards.
Tier 4.
And you have to use DEF in them?
Correct. With the EPA and stuff, everything is pretty much governed on the diesel sides now. And this way here, for specs that the government holds back to us, is you can't put something in, it's like California standards. They're a little bit different than what we have here. But you still have to go by the standards that the government.
So we could have more trouble with these new ones than we have with the old ones.
It's a rarity, to be honest with you. Your most important parts are the circuit boards. That's something, what we have now, they don't have them anymore. You have to kind of find them out on the market and have them built. Then you look at downtime. How much downtime are you willing to risk at a college?
When I was at the White House, did any of you go? Steve, you were there, weren't you?
I was
Oh,
there.
Doug was- oh, good. It was the White House.
I got you out of trouble, remember, Secret Service came to get you. Go ahead.
I get a rash when you get close to there, so.
Let me say this as diplomatically as possible. Shut up. Well, when we were there, myself and another individual brought up the fact that the EPA's regulations on these small engines is having a very detrimental effect on cost, weight, reliability, and we did ask a representative of the White House to look into it. I don't know whether anything will happen, but we did ask.
I remember you doing that.
Just out of curiosity, how many generators we have at Carroll Community College, Doug?
6.
I thought.
Just like
Almost
a
one
third.
for each
Pretty
building,
much.
right?
Yeah, they're small ones.
Yeah,
In the standard fields, they're small ones.
okay. Yeah. All right.
All right, any other questions?
Now I'll make the motion, we approve the issuing of purchase order to Fidelity Power Systems for 2 Kohler generators and automatic transfer switches in the amount of $75,200.72. Couldn't you do something with that? Seriously?
And this is budgeted?
Yes, sir. In fact, we're under budget.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Motion and a second, any further discussion?
How many KWs are they?
150, I think the one is. Let me check real quick. I don't want to give you wrong information.
2 150s.
2
That's
150s.
really
Yeah,
cheap.
they're small
then.
ones.
These are really cheap. These are really inexpensive ones. They're 30, we're
Yeah.
talking 25, 30,000
Well,
for
Kohler
150.
had-
Are
Kohler
they
had a
used or are they
deal.
new?
Yeah, but Kohler had a deal where they're offering to the government agencies and you can't beat the price.
And these are new.
They're
It's
brand new.
really cheap, isn't it?
Mhm.
Dirt cheap.
I wouldn't say dirt cheap.
It is dirt cheap. I
Yeah.
mean.
Well, we
20
shopped,
I
believe me.
mean, without the transfer switches, transfer switches, what, 5,000 apiece?
Yeah, it depends on them. That's one side.
I mean, 30K for 150
Yeah.
KW generator?
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's
It's
really
very good deal.
inexpensive. That's dirt cheap, cheap. That's really cheap.
Should have bought more.
Okay. All right, very good.
Buy 'em out of
All
stock.
right, motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we move on to bid approval for Shannon Hawk SWM facility retrofit, Gail Ingalls and Cindy Miller.
Morning.
Good morning.
Commissioners, we are recommending award to WF DeLauder and Sons from Emmitsburg, Maryland, the project for the Shannon Hall Stormwater Management Facility retrofit in the amount of $938,511.41.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Last time I kind of butted in, I thought maybe I better not do that
Nope.
this time.
Go ahead.
So I sure will tell you some things about it. It's actually the second phase of the Shannon Hawk. The first phase was Hawk, and that is finished now. The second phase is Shannon. The drainage area, or excuse me, the impervious area is 47 acres. We do have grant funding at the amount of $473,000, which is a little over half the cost of the proposed cost from DeLauder. We got the engineer's cost estimate was $1.4 million, so it came in very much under budget to begin with. And basically what this equates to is $19,978 per impervious area, which is well under the $30,000 we're normally running now. So we were pleased with the bid, and I think that tells me that we need to get some other projects that we're looking to do out very quickly, because there's people that obviously would like to have some work. So
It's really good. So this came over almost $500,000 under budget.
it came, well, 1.4, yeah, just about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. All right. Any other questions?
I move the Board of Commissioners award the contract for Shannon Hawk SWM facility retrofit to WF DeLauder and Sons in the amount of $938,511.41.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we move on to bid approval for CCPN Consulting and Technical Services, Mark Ripper and Mark Myers.
How about Mike? Mark's brother, Mike.
I've been called worse. That's all right.
Oh, that's why, okay, sorry.
Famous actor now.
I'm just reading what's in.
It's wrong in our opinion.
Yeah, well, good morning.
Good morning.
So the board's familiar with the Carroll County Public Network Fiber Project. Skyline Technology Solutions has been our contractor for the past several years. The current contract has ended, so we had to go out and rebid the services. So what the Department of Technology Services did this time around was split it into two different sections. There's consulting and technical services, and the next bid approval we're going to have is for project management and network operations. So what was one contract has now become two. So went out to bid. The first one for the consulting and technical services, we received 2 responses, and we'd like to award to Skyline Technology Solutions. It's kind of an as-needed contract, so there's no dollar amount, but they were the highest rated technical and financial respondent.
So if we don't need any of the services, we don't pay anything, and if what we pay for what we need.
In theory, yes. Unlikely.
Well, I know. We're probably going to need.
There are items that are maintenance in nature.
Sure.
That would be taken care of by this contract that don't come anywhere near what the amount is to have approval. If there were any major projects that were started by county government that would exceed that amount, we would come back before you like we would with any project and get your approval to move forward with it. So.
Okay.
So what are the boundaries for this award in terms of the scope, the maximum scope?
Basically, the scope, it's
rates?
for all 4 partners, so it goes to Carroll County Government, Library, Public Schools, and Community College. Plus, we have about, 30 some other municipalities and organizations that operate off of our contract. And it's just, again, normal operations unless a project comes up in which we'd be back before you. And is there something specific you're looking for,
Well,
Commissioner?
yeah, I mean, typically, even on an open-ended contract, an IDIQ, indefinite duration, definite quantity, there'd be some
Well,
limitations
it's not
on-
it's a 1-year contract with 5-year renewal.
And what point do we go at? Do we go beyond them though? If we have to bid if another issue comes, this is just for consulting and technical services.
If it's something that's new, we follow all of the current purchasing procedures. If it was over $2,500, we would still be contacting 3 different vendors, those types of things.
Okay.
And all. We
Okay,
do not
that-
change any of our normal purchasing
That
practices
answers my
because
question.
of
The
this.
answer is anything over
Right.
2,500
And,
still goes out.
yeah,
to
we
bid.
would be back before you again, and you would have to, even though Skyline may be the one that we're asking for approval, we would still be back before you for that.
That's fine, thank you.
All right. Did we get a motion on this?
No,
No, okay.
No, no
Then we
motion.
need a motion, okay.
Yeah.
Anybody would like to make a motion?
I'll make it here in a sec. This, is
Okay.
it Narvely LLC?
Correct.
Have we ever had
Narvely.
anybody bid on this before? Are these folks new? Because as
Um,
long as I've been here, it's all about Skyline.
Um, That's correct. Well, you've been here through 2 contract renewals now. So we had one about 5 years ago, and the reason we split these out is there was a concern at that time expressed by the board that because we had everything managed into one larger contract, that we were not getting the bidders that we would. So we took and split it out. To make this real easy, the basic contracts, this one is for internal operations. The next one you'll be approving is for the actual fiber network outside of the facilities to see if we would get more takers. Narville did submit a bid. They did not meet the qualifications in any way whatsoever we required as part of the contract.
Okay. All right, I'll make the motion that we award the contract for CCPN Consulting and Technical Services to Skyline Technology Solutions LLC.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Move on to bid approval for CCPN Project Management and Network Operations Management Services.
Yep, and the second part of that contract, we went out to bid again. This time, we only received one bidder. That was Skyline Technology Solutions. We'd like to go ahead and award the contract to Skyline.
Any questions?
5 backbone rings.
And here, we have already been back before you earlier, is that one part of this particular contract is the maintenance of the equipment on the fiber network itself, and we've had all of those contracts renewed now at this particular point.
All right. Jim, you ready?
I'll move the Board of Commissioners award a contract for the CCPN Project Management and Network Operations Management Services to Skyline Technologies LLC.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next, we move on to a bid approval for network switch and router annual support renewal. Jacob Gregory and Mr. Myers. And Mark, I guess, is staying with us. We're all good.
Might as well, I'm sitting here.
All right.
Yep, next we are requesting your approval toward a contract for the annual renewal of the network switch and router support to Digicon Corporation in the amount of $134,534.15. This one we're going to be made by piggybacking off the Baltimore City contract, which they had previously bid out.
This is for, this is not for buying new routers or switches. This is for support or
This is
maintenance
support.
and
What
that
it
kind
does,
of stuff.
Commissioners, is it keeps, and you can see here that we have, depending on the switch and how important it is to the system, we have 2-hour, 4-hour next business day replacement and repair is included as part of that. All of the software updates that need to be done to the routers and switches is included in that. You know, today with security, all the patches that come out, everything is included as part of that contract.
All right.
Is this, was in the budget?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, so it's, and the other bids came in close?
I don't know, Jacob, did they?
I don't, there wasn't a huge difference, but these folks had the best offer, so we had no reason to choose a higher offer.
Right. And we use this company already. We're satisfied they can do the job.
Yeah, we use it quite a bit.
Okay. All right.
All right, I'll move the Board of Commissioners award the contract for the annual renewal of the network switch and router support to Digicon Corporation in the amount of $134,534.15.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Rothschild?
Aye, I'm sorry.
We
That's
need
right.
your vote.
The rest of
Thank
will-
you.
They're
All right.
dropping like flies there.
Next, we move on to bid approval for Laserfish annual support.
Go ahead, Jacob.
And with the same guys.
Well, Laserfish is used for document archiving primarily. In simplest terms, it's taking place of filing cabinets. It's used by numerous agencies throughout the government. It's a fundamental data storage capability that we need and have.
I thought we moved to image storing, electronic image storing rather than Laserfish. Or is that what it's now doing?
Commissioner, that's actually what the product itself is called. It is electronic storage. It's not the old
It's not
fish film.
Laserfish.
No,
Yeah,
no.
It's electronics, okay, so it's a misnomer.
So
Okay.
they've got that, they just kept that name from the time that they were doing that 10, 12 years ago.
Okay, that's better. I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. That's it for this morning? It is. I guess we need a motion to recess until 1 o'clock.
I move. Yeah.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.